Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 137 of Is This Thing Working? How you doing, Denise?
I'm doing great today. Awesome. It's Wednesday, hump day.
Yes, it
I'm
is.
so glad to be with you here today.
Me too. I'm glad to be here. Man, we had a good night last night. We went to the Angelina County GOP meeting.
Yes, we showed up.
We missed the last month or two.
Are becoming informed and engaged.
Yes, we are. And there was a lot of information out there last night, a lot of different agenda items for the Republican Party, especially the ones here in Angelina County, the things that are important to us. And we got a chance to listen to their guest speaker last night, who was Texas Supreme Court Justice John Devine.
Yes.
And
I voted for him, by the way.
Me too. And he gave a really good presentation last night, told his life story and his perspective, and gave us a couple of examples of the different things that they're battling. But first off, we got some updates from yesterday's show. Yesterday's show, we brought out the video of Nancy Pelosi on J6 in the back of the car as they're rushing away, and she's tearing up old Terry McCulloch on all the things that had went down and the fact that where's our National Guard at, you know.
But remember, she took responsibility.
She did. She said that twice, matter of fact.
Yes, she did.
She said it twice. So we kind of got an update, and we mentioned not only her, we mentioned Ryan McCarthy, the DOD, General Milley's involvement in this, and also she mentioned the Capitol Police, you know, and how not really maybe so much uninformed, but misled or misguided because they didn't know who the orders were coming from either at that point.
Yes.
And that's what Chief Stephen Son, he come out actually on the 10th, and he said that Pelosi was surprised we didn't have National Guard on J6. I was denied National Guard support multiple times before J6 and repeatedly for 71 minutes on January 6th. My story hasn't changed. He said that on the 10th after the Pelosi thing even yesterday blew up again. He come back out again with another statement. And this was from yesterday. He said Pelosi should take responsibility. She put herself in the security decision process, and her sergeant-at-arms denied my request for support before and during the J6 chaos. She undermined my law enforcement capabilities. And he goes, you want proof? Why did they change the law to U.S. 1970? Why did they change this law that tied my hands? Great question.
And that's what the law that they changed at the very last minute that he didn't really know anything about.
That's my
until
point.
Then.
That's exactly correct. You know, that's what the big discussion in the car was. Nobody knew whose decision it was. Even Ryan McCarthy said, man, I don't know. I got to call and talk to my boss, which we know to be General Milley.
Yes. So, yeah, this is going to get deeper and deeper, everybody. So we're going to keep you informed.
Here's the truth that I want to come out in this, man, is the fact that Pelosi acted as though she was incredulous and she didn't know these things were happening. And it goes back to what we talked about yesterday. Who videoed that? And who put that video out on HBO?
Her daughter.
That's exactly correct. So why now? That's the thing. Pelosi's trying her best to cover her ass in this.
Yes. And not just hers. There's other people involved that she's covering.
You bet.
And we talked about that quite a bit on the show yesterday.
You bet.
That would be the name, the elephant in the room.
Yep.
General Milley.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You know, Pelosi's too powerful, man, for that video to have leaked out on her and her not be prepared, you know. And Do
you think that General Milley and Nancy Pelosi went in together to change this law?
Who knows? I don't really know.
That's a question that we can investigate.
Yep.
We'll get back to you on that one because I really tend to think that they work together because the only way the law could change is through the House.
Yeah.
And through some of their, you know, they just throw stuff in there. Yep. Regulation. You know, I mean, they just throw laws out there and expect you to follow them and know every law.
Well, and it goes back to the who made these decisions, and now we've got people coming out. Why now? Mm-hmm. But hey, let's quit asking why now. People start speaking up. If you know things to the contrary of the narrative of what they're trying to bring out here, which is Pelosi being incredulous and not knowing what was going on, you know,
that's ridiculous.
Yes, instead of focusing on that, focus on the fact of why now this has come out. And if you know something to the contrary, speak it up, man. Speak it up and bring it out here. Steve's son did, and I hope to see more and more continue.
Everyone's
to come
afraid
out.
Though. Everyone is scared of them. You know,
Quit
and
being
that's
scared of
that's
them.
the weaponization of this government, man. You can't buck them. You know, but this Steve's son comes out and he reminds everybody what he went through. He went through quite a bit, you know, and he wasn't afraid.
Yep.
And he got let go or fired or whatever they do.
Yep. And we watched Bannon last night on the Tucker Carlson interview.
Yeah, he was hot.
And that was one of the things that Tucker asked him about was his level of fear. You know, are you scared to go into prison, man? And Steve's like, man, I served in the Navy. You know, I served in wartime. I served my country.
I spent a lot of time out on the ship.
That's right. Yeah. And I wasn't scared then, and I served my country proudly. And I'm not scared now, and I don't fear these people now, and I'll serve my time proudly. But in the meantime, he understands how important it is that he stays out too, man.
Yeah, he does.
He's
not afraid of jail.
No, he's not.
But he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting. He's not afraid to fight them every step of the way. And that's a breaking thing that we've got also is that Steve has filed an emergency motion to the D.C. federal court to prevent his imprisonment pending the appeal of this bogus case. He's requesting a decision within the next week as he plans to appeal this all the way to the Supreme Court. We got your back, man.
We got your back.
War Room Posse has your back.
Yes, we do. And we wish you lots of luck. You know how all that goes in the D.C. courts. Good luck. But we want it to go all the way to the Supreme Court, so he's hoping that it moves pretty quickly. Since I think he's supposed to, go report to prison, July 1st?
Which is just a couple of weeks. Yep.
So here we go. Good luck to him.
Yeah. Before we get started today, though, let's remember our sponsor. Today, our sponsor is Brickhouse Nutrition. And one of the great products that Brickhouse Nutrition has is Field of Greens, your daily dose of vibrant nutrition. Packed with organic greens, fruits, and vegetables, each scoop delivers essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Simply mix with water or add to your favorite smoothie for a refreshing boost of vitality. Fuel your body with the goodness it craves. Experience the power of Field of Greens and thrive every day.
I love Field of Greens. I have some myself. I use it every single day. It gives me energy. You know, after I get through drinking my coffee, of course, I have a green drink, and I love it, and I put it in my green drink. It's part of it, and they have different flavors. I have the wild berry, so check them out. Thank you to our sponsors and for you for clicking on the link below. Get you some Field of Greens. You'll feel better for it.
It's www.brickhousenutrition.com. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
But before we start this show today, please, we want to state these are our opinions and our assertions. If you agree with us, tell your friends and share the show. And if you don't agree with us, do that as well. Also, stomp that like button and please follow or subscribe wherever you see the name Is This Thing Working? And don't forget to download the Rumble app so you can follow the show every day that we go live, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you, and let's get on with the show. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to start with Trump Watch.
There we go.
We got a statement from President Trump overnight.
This is what he said. He said, corrupt Soros-backed Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, at the direction of crooked Joe Biden and his DOJ, has always known that there was no crime in the case he filed against me. He didn't even want to bring this zombie case. But when forced to attack me for election interference purposes, Bragg attempted to make it look as bad as possible by stacking the counts. A total scam. The reality is that the whole hoax is just about legal expenses being paid and marked as legal expenses. Instead, the prosecutors made up 34 counts out of 11 checks, 11 invoices, and 12 entries by a highly respected bookkeeper in a ledger. Even the invoices said legal retainer. Why? Because that's what it was. A payment to the then fully accredited lawyer. Nothing illegal. No conspiracies. The appellate courts have to end this witch hunt against a political opponent. And I hope that it does, and I hope that the tide is beginning to shift, man.
I really do. I hope so, too, because the people are really seeing what's going on. You know, and then Merrick Garland keeps coming out daily, it would seem like lately. Don't threaten the institutions. You know, but, sir, you all team up against the leader of the Republican Party, and this is the confidence that we have in you.
Exactly. give us something to speak good about you for, and we will. And you've given us nothing to work with, man.
Yeah, well, they try to do that with this, and that's what they do. All of a sudden you heard yesterday about this ISIS, these 8 people that they caught, and they all went in together and, made this coordination and caught all these 8 people that had come across the border. But yeah, that's what they do. Yeah. And they say, oh, but you're the one that did it. Well, you're the one that actually let these people in. I mean, you open the border wide. Exactly. But then we're supposed to be, yay, you got ISIS.
Exactly. When you hear these kind of stories, because of the way that you've seen the FBI behave, the way that you've seen our institutions behave and our courts have behaved, when they do come out with a story like this, I don't look at it on the surface as going, oh, yay, we've got some other evil people. We've captured some other evil. No, what I look at it is a false flag that you want to put a narrative out here that you're actually doing something good. You do that, but then we turn around and we see the way that you treat the president, the way you treat his advisors, the way you've treated his lawyers, the way that you have taken the lawfare. You, Merrick Garland, you did this.
Yes.
And then you want to turn around and brag that you're doing something good and hope that the public accepts you. Bullshit, man.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, it's all bullshit. Every bit of it. And that's why James and I have going to take a turn here on our show. And every single day, we are going to tell you the policies that President Trump is going to bring with him when he wins in November 5th. And we're going to help him do that by informing you about what you're going to be voting for and why it's so important.
Exactly. And at the Angelina County GOP meeting last night, that was one of the things that made me proud, because we're always saying on here, be informed and be engaged. And last night, one of the things that they talked about was the fact that voters need to be informed. Don't just go to the ballot box and look for the nice, friendly name on there and check that box. You've got to be informed. All the things that are happening with President Trump and the weaponization of the judicial system are at an utmost importance, people. At an utmost importance. And if that's the only reason you go to the voting booth and cast your vote, okay. But we want you to also understand that the policies that he brings are the policies that are going to bring us back to prosperity. These are the policies that are going to bring us back to a secure nation. These are the policies that are going to bring us back to not being bullied and run over by other countries. Not only that, President Trump takes a strong stand on a lot of other different things. So we're, like you said, let's just go through them then.
Okay, one of them, and one that we think is so important. One of his policies is returning production of essential medicines back to America and ending Biden's pharmaceutical shortages. Folks, this is so, so important. I know everyone has been to the doctor, and what is the number one thing that they continue to try to give you instead of, things that you're used to getting, like antibiotics and stuff that would actually help you cure what's going on with you? What is it they give you? Because it's the only thing that they have to give you. And what is that?
Prednisone.
Prednisone. It's constant. In a new Agenda 47 video, President Donald Trump announced his plan to end Joe Biden's pharmaceutical shortages and return the manufacture of life-saving drugs to the United States. He said, this is not just a public health crisis, it's a national security crisis, President Trump said. As part of my plan to obtain total independence from China, we will phase in tariffs and import restrictions to bring back production of all essential medicines to the United States of America where they belong. I signed an executive order to begin this process in 2020, but Biden has shamefully failed to follow through. Now, why would Biden go in there and strike this executive order that President Trump put in on 2020? Why would he do that?
To push the vaccine.
Yes, to push that vaccine in quotes.
To continue to ride that COVID narrative.
And because he was getting lots of money from Big Pharma as well.
You bet.
And Big Pharma, they charge Americans way more money for medicines that are coming from China, that they're getting very cheaply.
Exactly.
And then they charge Americans are the number one people that pay the most in medicine anyway.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So if they come back over here, then we can regulate that medicine.
Well, and we can
and know that, how much we're actually being charged for. Because Big Pharma, you think that they're being transparent?
No, they're not. And not only that, during the biggest height of COVID, which was toward the end of 2021, all of that, during that time, if there was one thing that we should have learned from all of that was how vulnerable that we are as a country. Because once that happened, man, we didn't even have enough supplies, medicine-wise or health care-wise, to even take care of the people in a situation like that. If we do, like he asked, bring back that production to the states, bring that back to here, it leaves us in a way better, more secure state. Plus, it also opens up the marketplace, competition.
Yes.
The price of medicines would go down.
It really would.
Yes, they
would.
would.
It is a matter of tremendous
demand.
urgency. And we really need to do this fast. Americans' lives are on the line. They really are. I mean, you have elderly, that can't afford medicines.
Exactly.
And the insurance is terrible. That's just for another day.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's
here's another
talk
one.
more policy.
And this one is going on right now. With a lot of talk. Our number 1 and 2 issue. What are the economy and the border and so he's got a lot of Agenda 47 policies on the border, and here's one in particular. It says Day 1 executive order ending citizenship for children of illegals and outlawing birth tourism. Okay, so this is a very important one that really doesn't get talked about a lot. It's like, oh, let's not do that. Let's not go over there. And that's why we love his policies, is because he's actually bringing forth policies that are common sense and that people have really talked about for years and years and years and years and years and years and never done anything about it.
And who does it focus on? American citizens.
That's exactly right. He says, as part of my plan to secure the border, on Day 1 of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. My policy will choke off a major incentive for continued illegal immigration and deter more migrants from coming and encourage many of the aliens Joe Biden has unlawfully let into our country to go back to their home countries. Please.
I like he said the word encourage. That'd be funny. That'd be good to see that encouragement, man.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to what type of encouragement we're talking about, but I bet it's going to encourage them.
I guess so.
Remember what we talked about the Texas border, and they kept coming over here. And remember, I said that too. One of the ways I would have battled it back on them was the moment they crossed over into our country, I'd have made it as uncomfortable as I could have for them, and it would have encouraged them to do what? Take your ass back home.
Back home. I mean, really, you have a country. Go make your country great again, man.
Yeah.
Please do that. I mean, do that for yourself and your kids that are growing up, I mean, please do that.
Right. But in defense of these people, if you truly have a family of people that said, you know what, screw Venezuela, I'm tired of this, I got to get out of here, I got to go somewhere where I've got more opportunity, then they want to take off and come over here, but they're still here illegally because they haven't went through the proper channels and they're here. But look, the incentives that Joe Biden offers them that he doesn't offer you is a major contributing factor to those people.
It is.
And I wanted to separate those between those and, like you talked about, the ISIS people that are coming over to do our country harm. Mm-hmm. I still believe that in some cases you've got gullible public over there in these other countries as well as you've got gullible public here, and they see that and they go, well, look, he's granting foreign laborers a lot of rights. He's granting us a lot of rights. We'll get more rights over there in his country, in America, than we do in our own. Well, that sounds good and fine, but that steps on the American people.
Yes.
That steps on us. And
especially when they do it, and it's Americans aren't even allowed to do it, but they are.
And statewide, as far as the states are concerned, who's the one that needs to step up and take care of that and nip this in the bud?
Who is
the attorney
always,
generals? The attorney generals.
That's it.
And I'm telling you, we've got one of the finest in the nation.
Yes,
you know.
Ken Paxton, our attorney general here in Texas, is absolutely on fire.
Yep.
He steps right up.
And speaking about this subject right here, he put out a press release yesterday, and it talks about foreign laborers coming here. And it says Attorney General Ken Paxton sues the Biden Department of Labor to prevent attempt to grant foreign laborers more rights than American workers. Attorney General Ken Paxton and a coalition of state attorney generals have sued the Biden administration's Department of Labor over new regulations that aims to override longstanding federal law and give foreign nationals working in America agriculture more rights than American citizens.
You know, I think, let me point this out one
Okay.
more time. Regulation. See
Yes.
what they do? These Biden
Regulations.
people, the Biden regulations, and they just stick a law in there that's not a law.
They stick
It's
a regulation in there and
they
call it
yes,
and-
and call it law,
and call it law.
and
this
make
is,
you follow it.
and this is my whole trouble with all of these three-letter agencies that we have. You can't make law. The ATF can't make law, like with bump stocks, like with the $200 tax stamp.
Yes,
This is another, like you say, another regulation.
another regulation.
And it says here that in April of 2024, the Department of Labor issued a new rule that would specifically allow foreign nationals working in America under the H-2A visa program within the agricultural industry the ability to unionize and engage in collective bargaining. That sounds great, don't it? It sounds
It
great.
does sound great.
But-
Oh yeah,
But there's all kinds of problems with it.
it is.
This rule directly violates federal law, including the NLRA Act of 1935, which allowed workers in certain industries to engage in trade unions and collective bargaining, but exempted the ag industry. Congress has maintained that distinction for nearly 90 years. The Biden administration is now attempting to use the agency rulemaking progress to grant rights to foreign nationals not offered to American citizens by privileging aliens in this country on the H-2A guest worker visa program with special treatment. He goes on to say that this DOL rule represents arbitrary and capricious agency action that exceeds the authority granted to it by Congress. AG Paxton has joined with Kansas and other states to oppose the unlawful Department of Labor rule and request an injunctive relief to prevent the rule from taking effect. This is his quote. He says, Joe Biden is using his bureaucratic machinery to favor immigrants who are in the country on temporary visas by unilaterally granting them rights that are not enjoyed by American citizens working in the same industry. By favoring foreign labor over American workers, Biden is not only breaking the law, but turning his back on his own citizens.
Yes.
If that message can't be loud enough and clear enough, it needs to continue. Man, that right there.
Yeah. They're bringing these illegal immigrants here into America to work at our jobs, which you've seen all the job reports, and it shows over and over that more illegals have gotten jobs in America than Americans in the past year. So I'm telling you, people, you are being replaced, whether you believe it or not. They don't want to give you these opportunities, that they're giving these illegals. They want to make rules rules that you're not even allowed to follow. I mean, Americans aren't allowed to follow this rule. Is it just say that illegals can do this?
Seems to be. When you're exempt, when ag workers are exempt from being able to unionize and collective bargaining, and have been for 90 years.
And then all of a sudden they get to come in here and do whatever, and that's exactly another thing that our wonderful Texas Attorney General also secured a major win, blocking the Biden administration once again, always blocking. We have to block them because they don't follow the law. No, they have to make rules and make us follow them. Well, we have an Attorney General that stands up. I'm telling you, I wish everybody else would. Man, if we had all, Republican Attorney Generals that fought back to this Biden administration, we might not have as many problems.
I agree.
What I'm saying?
I agree.
Well, our Attorney General, he blocked the Biden administration's attempt to force transgender policies in schools. securing nationwide relief against unlawful agency actions. This has to do with Title IX. In June 2023, AG Paxton sued the Department of Education for issuing arbitrary and capricious guidance that unlawfully extended Title IX to include sexual orientation and gender identity as protected classes. Yeah, everyone know that happened. It was a big uproar, but our Attorney General has blocked this from happening. He said today, a federal court vacated the unlawful guidance nationwide and issued a permanent injunction against the enforcement against Texas and its schools. This ruling ensures that no school district in the state of Texas will have to comply with the Biden administration's interpretation of Title IX as including gender identity requirements, including allowing men into women's restrooms or locker rooms or sports teams, or requiring students or teachers to use pronouns based on gender identity rather than biological sex.
Good job, Ken Paxton.
Yeah, this right here is really big. It really is, because this has gotten everywhere into our schools. And I will say our governor and our AG has been on top of this, getting into our schools and fighting them off as best as they can. You know what I mean? Because,
Exactly.
I mean, we just need other attorney generals to really step up. And we really need
some are,
you.
And some are, and we need more.
Yeah,
we need all that we can.
We really do need more. And then we have President Trump on the other side of that coming out with this for his Agenda 47, another policy. He said President Trump's plan to protect children from left-wing gender insanity.
Part of his policy will be to revoke Biden's cruel policies on the so-called gender-affirming care, which is a process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearances, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. He's going to sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. He's going to ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote and pay for these procedures, and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states.
Boy.
Declare that any hospital or healthcare provider participating in the chemical or physical mutilation of a minor will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program. He is going to support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue the doctors who have unforgivably performed these surgeries or procedures on minor children.
Wow.
These are good policies. These are the things that have to be done to get our country back the way that our country is supposed to be.
And you know what's so sad about all this is that we have to do all these policies over and over. I mean, things that you would think were common sense, you know, that you don't put your children through
this
child mutilation.
Yeah.
You know, it's not common sense to people anymore. Like the judge Judge Devine that we listened to at the GOP thing yesterday, you know, he was talking about how he had to rule on a parent that took their child, that the dad was here in Texas and they split up, and she took her child to California for this very thing. And he said, man, he was the only dissenting voice.
Was it California or Washington? I can't remember which one. But it was Jeff Younger was who he was referring to.
I think it was California.
Yeah.
It was where he went to.
Yeah, and it was the Jeff Younger case is who he was referring to.
You know, so this is really sad that we have to go through this in this country right now, from state to state, where, you know, if we move to another state, then their rules are all different and so extreme. This is extreme.
And this goes back to what we talked about in the beginning about the weaponization of our government and the weaponization of our judicial system, because he was the only Supreme Court justice. You know, he was the only one that was trying to block that from happening.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, and it's just sad that this is going on. They're like attacking our Supreme Court justices right now. I mean, there was that liberal reporter who goes in there and pretends to be whatever she pretended to be and gets a recording of the Supreme Court justices talking about we need to go toward God and be godliness. Yeah. And they called that extreme. And the Democrats are coming out like it's like a crazy thing. you know? And what is it that his wife did? His wife put up.
Yeah, so what she done was she took a flag and she flew it at her house in protest to having to look across the lagoon over there and see a pride flag for a month. They acted as though this was some great big deal when all she done was exercised her constitutional right.
That's
to
exactly
peacefully
right.
protest. Yeah, that's all that she done. The same as the pride flag is sitting over there on its side of the lagoon over there. Those guys are peacefully protesting, right? If they just put a flag up and that's the end of it, they're peacefully protesting.
That's their deal. They want that in their yard.
They have every right to do that, and so did she. They tried to make this a big deal. It turns out that it's really not that big of a deal. This is noise that we talk about also.
Yes, it is. And they want to get our Supreme Courts. They, want to get rid of them. They don't like them. There's a couple of very, very important cases that are fixing to come out, usually by the end of June. So here we go. We have the Democrats that are always attacking the Supreme Court when they don't like what might happen.
To pressure and bully and
pressure
intimidate.
And bully. That's what they do. That's what they want. And they will pack the Supreme Court, folks.
If they get the chance.
If they get the chance. So you know who you need to vote for, and you know who you need to be. You need to be informed and become engaged and to let other people know.
Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. We couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
And we'll see you next time.
We're out.